Hello everybody and welcome to Fruitful Trees. Today it's probably one of the most exciting days in a long time. I'm here at my friend Richard's house. I drove almost 2 hours to get here because I seen his stuff on the internet and I was truly amazed. I've interviewed many people, I've went to many farms, tropical fruit places. I've never seen a place like this. It's very unique. He has on a half-acre property over 300 fruit trees. That's right, over 300 trees on a half-acre property. How in the world could he fit that in? Well, we're going to break some myths today, and we're going to check out this wonderful yard and see what he has growing on. Hello everybody, this is Paul with Fruitful Trees, and today I'm so excited I drove almost 2 hours south of where I live and to come here. I'm in Miami, south of Miami, and I'm at my friend Richard's house, who I met on the internet. I saw his videos and I was amazed. He has a half-acre property with almost 300 fruit trees, and they're not only fruit trees, but they're fruit trees that are fruiting. The majority of his trees have fruit growing on them. That's right, it's absolutely amazing what he's done here, and I'm going to break a lot of myths today and show you about this. So we're going to take a look now and check it out. Okay, so here today we're going to look at a bunch of fruit trees. The majority of fruits on the trees here are avocados and mangoes, and it's amazing to me that there's so many trees on this little property, and are just mostly all avocados and mangoes when there's so many different varieties of different fruits out there. But the owner actually says he doesn't even eat this fruit, and he doesn't really like fruit. He just does this for fun and as a hobby and learning experience, and he loves to share it with other people. And he's just really into avocados and mangoes, like more than anyone I've ever seen when you see what we got growing on here. He also has a couple of lychee trees. So we're going to check it out, but 300 trees on a half acre and just 3 types of fruits: mangoes, avocados, and lychees. Of course, he has a tremendous variety of these different trees, and that's what we're going to see. So you might be wondering, asking, how could somebody fit almost 300 trees on a half acre of property? Well, I have first learned or taught fruit trees or mango trees, for example, will grow good maybe 15 feet apart, maybe 20 feet apart. That's how you're going to get the fewest, most optimal growing situation. And then I learned about the ultra intensity gardening through Richard Campbell, and he was talking about growing trees 9 or 10 feet apart. I know some people that even grow it 8 feet apart. And in my research and just wondering how I could fit as many trees on my property as possible, I actually have almost an acre, but I have nowhere near this amount of trees, but I still was just researching and finding out how I could fit as many trees as possible on my property that won't affect the growing. And I looked into the ultra density, and somebody had mentioned to me once at a place that sells trees, they said some people grow 2 trees in one hole or 3 trees in one hole. And I was intrigued by it. I didn't think it would work as good as just having 1 tree in a hole, or for whatever reason I just never tried it. Well, I met somebody, and we're going to look at his house today, Richard, on the internet, and he has not 2, not 3, not 4, but he puts 5 trees in one hole. That's how he does it. Now, another thing is when I went to interview other people, a lot of mangoes dropped, that had old mango trees, the mangoes dropped and seedlings would come out very close to the other tree. I remember when I was at Walter's Hills Farm, he had 2 really big trees, literally maybe 5 feet from each other, and that was from a mango seedling. So that was a big learning experience for me, because I realized trees can go really big and be that close, but in the same hole. It was amazing. So I had to come out here and check this out. So many of the trees that he has here, this is a smaller tree. This is a Kathy. He has a lot of the same varieties. I think Sweet Tarts, Lemon Zest, and Kathy are some of he has the most of. So there are only 1 or 2 trees he only has 1 variety of. But this one's a smaller tree here. Now, most of the trees in his yard that are newer, maybe 4 or 5 years old. He has some older trees that some are 18 years old. But then there's this situation here where this tree was planted. It was a nice sized Kathy here, but in his learning, he made a mistake and he put some of the wrong type of fertilizer down one year, and it actually hurt many of his trees. Some of his trees he had to get rid of and start all over again. That means it's so important. It's good to experiment, but don't experiment on all your trees at one time, because you don't want to run into a situation until you know what exactly is happening. So some of his trees aren't as big as his other trees. It's not that he planted them really at different times. It's that those are the ones that got affected by the fertilizer. But let me give you an example of what he does here. So he plants the tree and he labels it here. So this one has a K, so that means Kathy. And he has a cement barrier around the tree. And he has these cement barriers specially made, custom made for his trees. And then he has his soil inside here, and sometimes he'll mulch it. And then he has a ring inside here as well. So this is what he has found to grow the best. And when you see his yard today, you'll be in agreement that whatever he's doing is very successful. So that's what he has, and sometimes he mulches it. And the reason why he said he has the ring is when he does use, he doesn't use any inorganic pesticides or sprays or anything like that. But he does use some natural organic fertilizers. And he says from his experience, when it has a cement barrier, everything will grow, or the fertilizer will stay near the tree, and it'll get the roots better. Now, we were always taught on a bigger tree that you want to get the edges of the canopy because that's where the roots grow out to. But from his experience, this used to be all citrus. He was saying the roots grow straight down. So on his trees, this one's a small one, so obviously you wouldn't want to put the fertilizer out, but he sprays them all near the roots, even on the big trees, because he's found the roots go straight down. So that's why he has the setup like this. And I knew a lot of people, they do it different, but it's been very successful for him. This is the smallest tree he has in his yard. And it's, again, this was a repair job because most of his older trees were okay from the fertilizing mistake, but his younger trees were messed up. Another thing he does, which is interesting, is he puts the dates on all the trees that he's planted. And for biblical reasons, he doesn't eat any fruit for the first 3 years. And so for the first 3 years, and he really knows about it because he marks it here, the date he planted it, and this is 3 years from the time it went into the ground, not just, however old the tree was. He didn't just add like another year to make 3 from the time it went in the ground. I like that idea. I'm going to look more into that and do another video about that. We want our trees to be as blessed as possible, and this yard is certainly blessed, and I'm sure that has something to do with it. Most people that might not interest, but the more I can live according to the Bible, the better, and I thank my Creator for wonderful trees like this. But so he has the name here, Kathy, and also the date. And then he also has a K. Each cement block is marked with a letter or initial or something to know what tree it is. And then he also has these dots. And these dots tell him when these trees were planted. So this tree was planted March 18th, 21. March 18th, 21. So after 3 years, he won't have any dots. So that's the way it's done. And again, this was a replacement tree because of the other issue we had. Now you might say, well, you said about 5 trees in one hole. There's only 1 tree in a hole here. Some of the trees he has 1 tree in a hole. Some of them he has more. And another thing he does to utilize his experiences right now, if you can go over here with the camera and look, we're on a front street right now. This is his front street. So technically, you wouldn't want to plant in front of your house for 2 reasons. Number one, in certain areas, you're not allowed to plant a certain amount from the street. And then the other reason is you don't want people taking your fruit. So I asked him about, do people take your fruit and stuff? And he said only one time did he have an issue with somebody taking his fruit. And, sometimes you just got to do it anyway and, see. I'd rather have a tree there and people take the fruit than not have the tree at all. And I think that's his philosophy also. But check this out. Now let's look here. Here it is. 5 trees in 1 hole. And his yard is full of these circles. And you can see he has the 1 big circle here, and then he has these little circles. So that's a cotton candy. It's cotton candy. This one's a phoenix because they're all labeled on the tree with the date, and also on the bottom here with the green mark. So that's a phoenix. He has a Valencia, a Pride, and on this one he has a lemon zest. He has a lot of lemon zest and Kathy. I don't know what the other one is on the other side there, but you would think, here, come here, let me look closer here. You would think that these wouldn't grow well because you're always told they need more shade, there's not enough room. These trees are loaded with fruits. And as we go around, we're going to see the trees loaded with fruits. He only has 1 or 2 varieties that aren't doing that great, but the other trees are loaded with fruits. And he even said, normally he has even more fruit than this, but because of the mistake he made with the fertilizer, they're not fruiting as well as they usually do, but still, they're still loaded. So for example, this phoenix tree was planted February 28th, 2017. And so we have some fruit right here. This is Phoenix fruit. And no one could possibly eat this much fruit over 300 trees. But he says he gives most of it away. He's very generous, and his wife likes some of them as well. And to believe it or not, he doesn't eat the fruit himself. It's just amazing that he loves this hobby, truly loves the hobby. Not like most of us for the taste of the food. He just loves it because he loves this. So he has these little islands here. This one's 5 in a hole, and some of them he has a lot of 3 in a hole or 4 in a hole, and this one's this big island right in front of his house. So he utilized the space really well. Now he could have fit maybe just 2 or 3 trees in this whole area, but instead he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 trees in this whole area, and as you can see, they're all fruiting. They're all fruiting. So this takes away 2 myths, or 3 myths. Number one, that you need to plant trees 15 feet apart to get fruit. Number 2 is about shade. I mean, he has some trees that are completely shaded, and they're growing fruit, and they're growing wonderful. And also just about doing everything in one hole and how he waters it and everything else. Speaking of, he doesn't have any irrigation system. He waters it all either by hand, by God with the rain, or by a sprinkler system. But again, he's just doing it so unique from anyone I've ever seen, and it's working. So in his front yard alone, he has all these amazing trees. There's an orange sherbet tree, and then there are some of the bigger trees here. Sweet tart. I don't know if I mentioned sweet tart or one of his favorites. Tons of sweet tart. Yeah, I think, let me look at the paper. I'll tell you exactly what he has. He gave me this paper with this list. Very impressive list. So I'll stand here in front of the sweet tart and I'll tell you. He has, listen, 45 sweet tart trees. And from my view, every one of them are fruiting. Now, he could just have one big one with a ton of fruit or a bunch of small ones with, yes, less fruit, but more than enough that he would need, but 45. And he has 26 orange sherbet. He has 48 lemon zest trees. Now, when you hear the lemon zest, you might think about what about bacterial black spot, and how does he deal with that? And he says he doesn't worry about that. We are further south of Miami, and it hasn't really reached here like it has near me up north in West Palm Beach. At the time, he'll deal with it when the time comes. But 45 lemon zest trees, 26 cotton candy trees, 14 lemon meringue, 12 pineapple pleasures, 13 sugarloaves, 8 M4s, 5 orange essence, 2 picorins, 6 buttercream, 5 fruit punch, 4 peach cobbler, 4 coconut cream, 4 pina colada, 4 Kent's, 3 Phoenix, 2 Venus, 2 Juicy Peach, 2 Hatcher, 2 Hayden, 1 Spirit of 76, 2 Rosy Gold, 1 Harvest Moon, 1 Van Dyke, 1 Valencia Pride. He has a Duncan, Seacrest, Glen. He has 13 Cathy trees. 13 Cathy trees. And then he has a whole bunch of avocado trees. He has a bunch of common avocado trees like a Pollock and a Simmons and a Lula and Miguel, Catalina. But he has really cool, he has one called a Haas Carmen. You know, we always taught that Haas doesn't really do well here in South Florida. Well, I think he's one of the only people in the country that has this Haas Carmen tree that came from Mexico. This particular variety is literally a Haas that does well here in South Florida. And he got 4 of those trees. He got 6 originally. He gave 2 to somebody else, and the 4 that he kept, on one of them, the graft stayed from and grew from the previous when they did the graft, and it came out and it was a black avocado, and that one ended up being something called a VC801, and it was so good that he just kept it. And he also has the Donny tree, and then he has 1 or 2 avocados I can't even pronounce. But you know, there's just I'm very, very impressed by what's growing on here. So here we have another lemon zest right on the street here. And of course, you know, most people don't know about this, all these different varieties. Some people might take some avocados and stuff. He lives in a community here. So obviously, if I was here, I don't think he's allowed to, but he doesn't have any gate or any fence. So that would be helpful. Maybe a gate with a dog would be helpful. But you know, he's doing the best with what he has. And another thing is he's very, very respectful to his neighbors. He's keeping it neat. He has a gardener that keeps the grounds very neat and very nice. And And he's growing, he's learning, but his neighbors respect him. He respects them. He has no problems with the association or anyone else. Now, I don't see anyone else with fences, so I assume you're not allowed to have fences here. And he's also planting blueberry around now under all his trees, and he has a bunch of blueberry trees as well. But the amazing thing is that this is just his front yard. And somebody like this person, he has more than enough room in his backyard, as we'll see, to plant as many mangoes as he wants. But he's utilizing every single space he has. And a lot of it's a good experiment. So I've interviewed some other people that said, well, that'll do good for a certain amount of time, but in the long run it won't work. Well, let me show you this, what he has going on here. As many of these trees are 5, maybe 6 years old, but check this out here. So check this out here. There's 3 trees and it's one hole. A Hayden, a Hatcher, and a Kent tree. And this is 18 years old. And look at it. Now he does got to do a lot of pruning. Obviously, when you're here, you got to do a lot of pruning. But 18 years old, and this tree, and look, they're loaded. So not only are the trees in the front here loaded that are getting the sun, but if you come around the other side here, here's the other variety. So remember, these aren't grafted, multi-grafted tree. This is 3 trees in one hole. And then in the back here, look at this. This is a Kent tree or a Kit tree. I think it's a Kent. But this is in the back. There's no sun here. This is a shaded, completely shaded tree. And he has a ton. Oh, it's this one. This one here. Sorry. And he has a ton of fruit. Yeah, here it is. This is the Kit. And he has a ton of fruit on there. And this is in the back in the complete shade. And normally that wouldn't work. And look how close this tree is. So back up and check this out. Look at that. So we have a Kent and a Kit. Look how close they are together. And in the shade, this close, and they both have fruit. And it's just all over his property. And he's done some other really cool things as well that I'm going to show you. But this is the place. Orange sherbets and he's getting it's getting fun now. He's putting orchids on some of the trees now, some beautiful orchids. But it's just very impressive. This is like a farm in a neighborhood, and I really love the fact that he's doing this for fun, as he calls it. And let me show you some more of his front yard before we go out to his amazing backyard. Here's another example. Cotton candy is in the middle, and then he has all these other trees in this hole here. Another cotton candy, M4. Cotton candies, orange sherbet on the other side. Check it out. 5 in one hole. And that's right in front of his house. 5 trees. Again, he could have 1 tree and it might grow more. He could have 1 tree multi-grafted and he get all these different things. But he's doing it this way, and it seems to be working for him right now. And also, later on, the great option is, we didn't even discuss this, but if for some crazy reason it doesn't work later on, he could always take a tree out and plant it somewhere else or sell it. So it's like a win-win situation. For the first several years, you'll be able to get all these fruits, and if it ever becomes too much of an issue, you could just sell it. So again, this is his front yard. Imagine walking out of your house. Something like this. Look at all these trees. A half an acre, folks. It's just a half an acre. So we're going to come around this way here. We have peach cobbler. So these are some single trees here. And now here's some of his avocado trees. So this is, again, not only does he have like many mangoes in one hole, this is 5 avocados in one hole. 5 avocados in one hole. So we have a Catalina. We have so many different kinds. I don't even know. But there's a Catalina avocado. This one is the VC8801 avocado. This is the one that he got from the Carmen Haas. That it was the graft that didn't take, so he grafted the tree. He likes it a lot. And then on this side we have a Haas Carmen. This is another Haas Carmen. So 5 trees in one hole, and again, it grows just fine. And you see, look at this. They're loaded. They're loaded. Right in this corner here, he has, again, this is a Namdak Mai tree right in the corner. Using all the space possible. And when I say all the space, I do mean all the space. Check this out. People told him it was crazy when he came up with this idea. He has a planter on the side of his house, which normally you would have plants, right? Nice place for a garden, right? Well, there's not too much sun here, so maybe not. But he planted trees in a planter. He has a sugarloaf. He has a lemon meringue and a sweet tart. And look at this fruit. This is a tree in the planter. Look how many fruits he has on them. Amazing. Amazing. So we'll see how that holds up in the planter, but it's fruiting. That's the ultimate goal, right? So it's working for him, and he has the room. He has an orange sherbet right between these 5 whole trees, and he put one here. Orange sherbet is going to grow up great. You know, so the best thing is when you do these things to learn is to try it and see what happens. Half an acre and he's able to do this. So now everyone's in their own situation, and some people might want to do it this way. Some people might want to do it a different way. But it's always good to experiment. That's how you learn. All right. So on his property, he has 3 lychee trees. So this one's probably his the biggest one right here, and right now it's not fruiting, but it has fruited in the past. And he has this lychee tree here that's going through a healing period, let's say. Because that lychee there, and look at this. This shot right here alone, straight back. This is the side of his house. Most people use this for parking. No. Look at all these trees. He must have 30 or 40 trees just going straight down. This is ultra high density growing at its best, because look at the fruit he's getting. And there's many factors of why he's getting fruit like this. He's experimented enough. I don't think it's just one reason he's getting it. I think it's a combination of a lot of them. And me personally, I also think because he's very obedient to the scriptures in the Bible, that God's blessing him with his fruit, because it says in the scripture, to be fruitful. That's why I call this channel Fruitful Trees. So I definitely think that has something to do with why he's so successful. But this is truly amazing. All these different trees growing just like this. And now remember, this is just his front yard. He lives on a corner lot, so we've been going around the corner and just watching this. Now we're going to go in his backyard and see what he has. Okay, so here we are in his backyard, and this is his biggest lychee tree. He has 3 of them, so I said the one in the front was, but this is actually his bigger one. So those are 3 lychee trees. Now, look at his backyard. Look at this. Look how beautiful that is. Bam, 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 bam. And it's amazing. Along the back wall, he has all lemon zest. It's all lemon zest and sugarloaves back here against the wall. Now, right away, you might be thinking like I was. He has all this room, and he has 45 of one variety of tree. Why doesn't he have other trees like black zapotes and white zapotes and soursop and lychees and longans and all these, maybe abau and all these other really super exotic trees? Why doesn't he have any of those? And he has all of this, but he just said, he got into planting mangoes and avocados. He doesn't really taste the fruit. He does it for fun. He hasn't tasted the other fruits, and he probably won't like them. I mean, my yard would be loaded with jackfruit or something like that if this was mine. But whatever he's doing is working. But to have so much room, it's just great. You have so many options, and obviously he's the avocado mango man because he just has so many. So against the fence here, he planted a bunch of lemon zest and sugarloaves, and I think he has a bunch of sweet tarts and orange sherbets. And more avocados just hanging around here. So we'll see. And then just really amazing. So that whole area in the back against the fence used to be this palm tree, or these palms, and he took them all out, and he put the lemon zester against the fence. And now he even has room here if he wanted to sit and take the sun or do something. But come on, when you're like this, you can't do that. You got to grow some more trees. So look, he just got some more trees. All 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 there's 6 lemon zest there. I don't know what the last one is, but he has room right here to plant the hole with 6 trees, which knowing him, he will, and it'll be successful. It's just amazing. Now this here is an older tree. This is a Hayden. His wife loves the Hayden mango, and it's kind of funny. That's our favorite mango, and it's like all the lemon meringues and the lemon zest and orange sherbet and Hayden. But some people have taste buds like that, and so this one's growing real nice here. That's the big one that's been here longer than the rest. But again, look at this. It's absolutely amazing, and it shows what can be done. And if you have more land, maybe you could do this and just have everything a little more apart if you wanted to. Or maybe you want to just produce exactly what he has here. But look at it, look. Now this was his garden area. There were a whole bunch of palm trees here. He took them all out, and he got this whole row here. Again, that's rosy gold here. He has sweet tart here. He planted this sweet tart on March 6th, 2020 as a 7-gallon. They're doing great. And again, he made that mistake, even with all this knowledge about using the wrong fertilizer or too much of what he did get. And, you know, that's how we learn. We learn and we figure things out. And he's top worked a lot of trees as well. Some trees he's had, and he's decided to top work them. And so he's done that as well. Look at these. And a lot of these are about to be ready. So this one here is a cotton candy mango. Another thing I like about his yard is it's clean. It's clean. The grass is cut nice. And maybe it's due because he has these circles the way he's done it. But it's a clean yard. It's really nice. So even though it's really packed in the backyard, you can get the tendency to let things get weeded out and so on. He's done a really good job keeping it really clean. And peach cobbler. Now this is one of the trees that I don't see any fruit on. This is one of the few trees in his yard that doesn't have fruit yet, but I'm sure it will. And again, look at this. Look how close these 2 trees are. We got peach cobbler and cotton candy. And there's more than enough room for both of them this close. This might be 5 feet apart. There's more than enough room for these 2 trees to grow. And then he has an avocado right here. And it's growing nice. And then, like I said, there's some trees that, for whatever reason, he wants to. This is a buttercream that he's had to cut it back. I believe this was one of the ones that got affected by his little error he made. And anyone that's watching that say, "Oh, too bad he made that error," that's how we learn. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. That's how we learn. So this is a buttercream coming up. It's doing really nice. And let's go here and see all the way. All the way in the corner of his yard, here's a lemon zest. Going real nice. Don't be too concerned all the time with, oh, people are going to take my mangoes, you know. Sometimes it's good to just have them. And if people take it, it's great. If not, you have more trees. Maybe one side you'll have and the other side the neighbor could have. But it's okay. It's not a bad idea. And alrighty, so here's a nice example. He has a sweet tart back there that's pretty big, and then here he has a smaller sweet tart. He has a Kathy and a lemon zest. All here, the trees are probably 2 feet from each other. 2 feet from each other right here. And he's not trying to be somebody who's growing the most optimal way. He'll admit that, you know, it might not be the most optimal way to get the most mangoes on one tree, but according to him, his philosophy is, I'd rather have more trees with less mangoes than to have one tree with a lot of mangoes. And exactly what he's doing here, and it's going great. And some trees are older than others, but and then he has a Glen. He He has a Glen tree growing right here in the corner here. He has, I think, 2 Glens on the property. So that's great. And then here's an example of a tree that he switched. This was originally a Bailey's Marble, but he's top worked it. So this one was top worked to an M4 on 725. This one was top to a Sugarloaf. These 2 are Sugarloaves. And so this is one of his projects, his grafted trees, so to say. And that's what he's doing here. Here's a lemon zest. And, you know, there's a hurricane or 2 that's come through here and affected his trees. But he's an easygoing guy with a great attitude. And I think a lot of that has to do with his success here. I think the garden is, he also says doing this, he gets exercise. So how many of you would rather do this and work on these trees instead of going to a gym or something like that? He gets his exercise, and he says every year he eats a few of the mangoes, not many. He gives many of them away. But it's just a wonderful, wonderful property here that he has. And yeah, if you have any comments or questions, put them below the video. And I really hope you enjoyed this as much as I do. Just being here is so great to see people successful and passionate about growing mangoes and things like that. So thank you for watching. And I got to come back here during mango season. I mean, it's mango season now, but in about a month, this place is going to be full with ripe mangoes. But I'm not going to give his address, and I'm not going to give his contact information, but I'm going to tell you that this is a real place, and I'm really here, and he's a wonderful guy, and we'll be doing some more videos here in the future. So thanks for watching, everybody, and keep growing, and thanks for the fruitful trees. Okay, everybody, that was just this amazing property here that I'm walking around, and it's just really impressive to look at. It's an impressive place, and like I said, the mango season is just starting, and there's a ton of trees with a ton of mangoes. And all his smaller mangoes, of course, they don't have mangoes on them right now, smaller mango trees, but all of his big ones have mangoes on them now, except for maybe 1 or 2 of them. And you know, it's important to label your trees as well. He has a label in 3 places on the floor, and he has them labeled here, and some of them he has labeled with a metal tag as well. And I'm in this hole here that has just a bunch of mangoes in one hole, and I'm inspired to grow more mangoes on my street. And what's the worst thing can happen? One side you'll get the mangoes, and the other side somebody else will take. Why not? I think there's some bigger varieties that don't fit in my yard, but they definitely would fit good right in front of my house. So I think I'm gonna go plant those. I see people planting coconuts. That's one thing I saw he doesn't have here. But thinking about it now, you know, a coconut, you know, has its good points, but its issues. But a mango, a nice big mango tree, can be definitely more tamed than a coconut tree, and can be very fruitful. So I might just, instead of planting coconuts in front of my house, I might plant some mangoes or some other fruit. You know, you could do this with other fruit. His passion is mangoes and avocados, but you could very well plant a whole yard of white sapote or black sapote. Not that you want to do a whole yard of black sapote. This one tree can give you more than enough. But you get my point. Soursop, you know, jackfruit. There's so many different varieties of jackfruit. How about a whole yard of just different varieties of jackfruit, and so on. So there's a lot you can do. You know, try it, and it doesn't have to be difficult. Most of the trees he bought, he didn't get like when they were tall. He got them at 3 or maybe 7 gallons. I definitely think more people should know about it, or know about at least the things people can do with things like this. So again, it's just absolutely amazing. Let me show you this again here. Look, 5 trees. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one's a little bit different. This one, all around the edge. This hole's a little bit bigger. But in his other trees, in his other holes that are 5, it's 4 in the ends and 1 in the middle. And you could do 3. You could do 1. But here's another a 5 planter right here. 5 planter, and it's more than one person will ever need to eat all of this. So if you're not looking to give mangoes away, and you even have a smaller yard than this, there's a lot you can do if you want varieties, and you don't necessarily have to do it this way. You could multigraph if you want to just multigraph your trees and have one tree with many different varieties. Some people do it that way, And you know, it's your yard and it's your experiment, so try what you think, or try both. Maybe one corner do a multi-tree and one corner do a tree with 3 holes or something, of trees like that. So, you know, experiment. But a lot of the myths have been broken today about shade, about space. You know, I mean, all you could say is fruitful trees. Look at that. All this fruit. And there's a bunch. It's all over. So there's an avocado tree. There's 5 trees in one hole. It's working. It's working. You know, there's a lot of myths out there. And a lot of people say a lot of things. And maybe this won't work long term. Maybe it will. But it's working now. And I know people, you know, look, 5 avocados here. And people might say, well, that's too close. It won't work. Look, you could have one avocado tree with a whole bunch of avocados on it. But one person's not going to be able to eat so many avocados from one tree this size. If this was one tree in this hole, you wouldn't be able to eat all these avocados for one person. But he has 5 trees. That's 5 different seasons of avocados and different varieties of avocados that he can all have. If they are the same season, he got different varieties at the same time. Or if they are different seasons, they will have similar varieties all year round. It makes sense to experiment and do stuff like this. And, you know, it's unique. It's not done. And that's what I like to have in the show. Something that's not done often, but something that's successful and working, to see people's passion to grow. And I'm going to do more experimenting with stuff like this as well, because I want to do what works. And for him, this is working. And there's always other factors, diseases, environments, and neighborhoods, farms versus residential. So you all have to tweak it according to where you are and where you live. But all I'm telling you now is I'm standing between a tree that's orange sherbet, avocado, and me. And they're close enough where they're both thriving. So be open to expanding new things, and may you be blessed with fruitful trees. Have a great day, everybody. And